In 2007, we started the Southern Public Defender Training Center. The idea was that we could identify some of the best young lawyers from all over the country to come to offices in the South where the challenges were great and to attract them there with the promise of training. The one condition is that they promise to stay for 3 years, but that tends to be a constant struggle.
In most of the southern states, the quality of legal representation for poor people accused of crime is an absolute scandal. The culture in many of these places is just moving people through the system. Just meet them, plead them, and send them on along the way.
Undoing the years and years and years and years of the culture where lawyers were judge-centered and prosecutor-centered is a real challenge that SPDTC is trying to meet.
A lot of folks who are not in the legal community, what they may not understand is that being a public defender, it is a different breed of lawyer. There are different challenges that come from being a public defender versus being a criminal defense lawyer. And so I think it's really important when public defenders hear about our program, they're like, wow, I didn't even know something like that exists. I want to be a part of that.
Once you know something that you think is unjust that's happening, and it's happening systemically, you have a duty, really, as a moral person, to try to do something about it.
This is your induction into a very special community, and it is your initiation into a very important movement.
For most of the public defender offices in the South, there was no training. Or if there was, it was very perfunctory or very superficial. And what John Rapping has done is now provide really in-depth training and training that goes on.
Now, I want you to think about what they actually get from the crime scene or the gun.
You gotta have a theory. Right? The theory literally drives everything you do. It's going to show that these guys are lazy, it's going to show that they're not thoughtful, and it's going to show that they're going to put you in the position of having to make a decision about a man's life without doing the first thing to give you the tools you need to do it. That's offensive.
As a public defender, you are in a battle day in and day out. We know what's at stake, and so we push them.
She's never been in trouble before.
Counsel, I'm going to shut you down right there because are you trying to go ahead with this sentencing hearing with your client not present? Is that what you're doing?
Your Honor,
that's what it seems like you're doing.
I just wanted to speak with you a moment while I'm here and my client is not.
It provides a zone where attorneys can practice, right, without a fear of being judged.
We had that tendency to beat ourselves up. We struggle with forgiving ourselves. And at this training, I really appreciated that RAP says it's okay. SPDTC, it has been so critical to my professional development. Were it not for SPDTC, I would have learned mistake after mistake after mistake, and at the expense of my client's liberty, really.
No matter how much pain you think you're going through in this program, or how much pain you think you're going through 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now as an indigent defense provider, think of the pain of our clients who have been locked up, their kids, their grandkids who don't see them. Then we start talking about real pain.
If I didn't have June on my case, I think honestly I'd still be locked up. I think I actually would have served those years they was trying to give me. And I'm glad I had June to fight for me, you know, and actually see that there's an honest person in the system. I'm glad I met her. I'm glad, you know, they actually have people out there that care about the people that's behind bars.
I love that all my colleagues who went to SPDTC are all really using what we learned there. And so it's great to see other people telling stories and, you know, insisting on certain levels of practice.
You're going through this struggle, and we are stripping away, you know, old ideas and showing another way of doing things.
And we have these folks who are in our program, who've graduated from our program, who are still doing this work and are successful at it. And I think that set the tone. And we're going to take these graduates and we're going to mold them to be mentors and leaders in their offices.
As those people develop into leaders, as those people start running offices, as those people start being the voices in the state legislatures and the city councils and the local county commissions, we'll develop a community of advocates. And I think while certainly resources will always be an issue, if we don't start changing the culture with people who really understand indigent defense, I don't think we'll ever have meaningful reform.
Law school provides a foundation for how to think about legal issues, but in no way, shape, or form are you going to be prepared when you come out of law school. I don't care where you've gone to law school. Are you going to be prepared to handle 120 cases and handle them effectively as a public defender?
We can't just give people 2 weeks of training, throw them in the field, and think that they're ready to transform indigent defense. I think we have to understand that we have to build deep roots. And so step one is training our lawyers to be really good lawyers. Step two is when they graduate, continuing to work with them so they can be mentors and supporters. And step three is ultimately training them to be leaders.
It gives me hope that there can be a humane system at some point. It's not going to be overnight. But if these lawyers absorb this training and go out and they have an influence of changing other people in their profession, I could see where this is a possibility.
It's took me a long time to actually come up with something about what makes me feel hopeful about this job. And it's always when I go to the public defender trainings, when I see the kids that are coming up behind me, when I see like the new crop, the new class, just to see them, you know, 50 people in the room, law school graduates who want to do this, and they really want to do it, and you can feel it. Yeah, it makes me hopeful. It feels great.